Hello there, Common Roll From here with another deep dive into the underground, surface and sky gameplay of Tears of the Kingdom. So be sure to leave a like, subscribe and press the notification bell, so we're going for 3000, but this time no intro sequence. Instead a message about Opera GX, the web browser built for us gamers, with laptop, iPad and my phone where I can browse at the town mountain, Roman palace entrance and even on the beach. Best of all, Opera GX controls helps me to avoid lag and slow down when playing games here, but you know what is also key? How it looks, and GX has plenty of customization options and animated wallpapers that add character to the browsing experience. In other words, there is no point to wait and nothing to lose as Opera GX is completely free, comes with a free built-in VPN, has many other useful features, and best of all, you support the channel by pressing the link to download Opera GX below, all to take us one step closer to the sky. Speaking of the sky. And here we'll combine the suggestion of CatDog and my own observations regarding sky navigation beyond time reversing the rocks of the surface to restore them back to where they fell from or using the spiritual tier to get up to the next island, but rather following the golden colored leaves which we before the title reveal suggested might derive from the golden ginkgo trees. Well, CatDog noticed that these also appear above and below Link in Tears of the Kingdom's key arch and in the distance against the sun, further pointing to that these are flying toward the direction of the sun and might indicate a role of leading or navigating Link through the sky. That or be a sign of wind and not only updrafts becoming a gameplay mechanic, just like in the Wind Waker in the past based on the pattern of movements of the leaves. Well, this is a very interesting observation, which goes in line with the multiple wind-based gameplay obstacles we have seen both in the box art and in the case of the Thundercloud trailer footage. The weather system of Hyrule was a key upgrade from past Zelda titles, but even this organic system lacked certain key features, namely extreme weather conditions, or more so, wind currents. As the latter one was only seen in a few shrine quests, but not as a part of the overall open air as the Zelda team and Nintendo continues to market instead of the open world. Organically speaking, we know that the higher you go up, usually the windier and more unstable the weather gets. Hence I expect the sky to deliver both wind-based challenges and opportunities, turning Link even more into Rito, even if Rivali's Gale might no longer be ready. But you know what Rito is still with us and in fact has been upgraded? The paraglider, as the symbol seen on both the paragliders is none other than the Rito crest, including the most interactive paraglider minigame at Eventide Island. So yes, both the sky and surface might gain currents that don't only go vertically, but also horizontally, and maybe even combined, as this is after all a sequel of combinations. But what about the leaves? They might be our guides or power-up in the restoration of the Master Sword. Well, that and or an indicator on whether we can make the run, jump and glide over to the next island. Needless to say, a system based on wind currents might also allow by combining our gameplay skills to progress to certain islands without even locating fallen rocks on the surface and then time reversing them. Just like you could technically skip the puzzle in shrines in Breath of the Wild. Remember, when we talk about the sky, we need to think outside the box. Just like what was the case to conquer Surface Hyrule since 2017. Yes, the aim might be to restore, but what if you can make your way from point A to point B without the effing rocks? That is how you continue while also altering the non-linear and alternative gameplay legacy of the 19th Zelda game. There you see how some leaves and combined vertical and horizontal currents can drastically alter the game, especially if you have to go out of your way to use the power of wind to ascend to the next vertical tier of the Sky Islands in Tears of the Kingdom. You know, just like how paragliders, glider planes and even motor-based aircraft take advantage of or avoid certain wind currents. Just in line with the organic real-life approach that was so deeply ingrained into the gameplay, music and sound design which made Breath of the Wild one of the most interactive open-world experiences of all time. But from the heaven of the sky and the flying stonebird transporter, let's make our way down without any winds that are vertical or horizontal or even paragliders apart from landing down on the ground and to Hunter Hexen's very interesting suggestion, namely not exclusively limiting time reversal or restoration with the hand of time to objects to get to the sky, but to rise from the depths of the underground to Hyrule's surface, specifically in areas like rigid mountains where the conditions to use the spiritual tier is not fulfilled due to unsuitable terrain as suggested in the patterns. And we know of at least one individual who fell deep below the surface in Breath of the Wild, apart from Zelda in Tears of the Kingdom. Yes, the Master Fool, Koga, and his spiky ball, which might be the reward we get from beating him to restore the ball back to where it came from, the Yiga clan hideout, which might be blocked from entering until such a rematch. Equally, rubble or surface rocks that fell into underground halls where Hyrule Castle used to stand and other new underground entrances could be used to time reverse to get to closed areas of the surface. There you have it, the potential and power of time reversal and restoration, and it doesn't have to be reserved just for the sky. Since if you're aiming for an organic experience covering all 3 layers that we humans have access to, then do it. This is a perfect way to bring back Master Koga and a knowledge that Ganondorf's awakening and subsequent earthquake did not only impact the sky from where rocks have fallen down on the surface, but also surface rocks or even objects falling down on the ground, just waiting to be time reversed to reveal a new location, chest, item, and so on, incentivizing the player in all layers and making the new power one that can be felt no matter where we play, making our quest even more seamless as we slowly but surely restore things to normal. You know when we enter one of the new grottos and follow a dark path until reaching its end. How do we get out after defeating the mini-boss, or challenge? Well, of course the surface boulders that fell down here as the roots were ripped out of the earth. Just like we were teleported out of the underground ancient Sheikah shrines and trials after obtaining the spirit orb from the Sheikah monk that then dissolved into a spirit. Only this time with the difference that leaving this specific underground area opens up an up to now inaccessible area of the altered surface. That is what you call organic gameplay that surpasses Breath of the Wild in all vertical and to some degree even horizontal directions. Naturally, we don't only desire revamps and taking Zelda even further away from what it was until 2017. And as we've pointed out in earlier videos, the underground is a brilliant opportunity to also provide something classic, namely a linear section of gameplay filled with combat and puzzles, just like we want to have it in our Zelda games. Since all innovations confirmed by the Zelda team and Nintendo thus far doesn't address the major issues and shortcomings people had with Breath of the Wild. Namely, lack of enemy and boss variety, and most of all, proper dungeons. So to finish off this video with the surface, let's keep it classic with Mega Extrema's suggestion, namely that a bigger map doesn't matter unless it respects Zelda's old school dungeon vibe, and treats them as the varied and challenging highlights that they deserve to be. A part of the magic all 3D Zelda surface experiences was getting all the tools needed to progress in the game in a linear way, allowing for a story and gameplay structure that evolves gradually as we play, instead of giving all at once to us, as a repetition of Breath of the Wild's shortcomings could ruin the surprise and will the Zelda feel of what we're all hoping will become the best game in the series. Just like Mega Extrema, I believe that a part of improving the Zelda gameplay experience in Tears of the Kingdom is not only in restoring the world, but also restoring the bits of the franchise that shouldn't have been altered or removed in the first place. The feeling of opening a chest and getting something from it that changes the way we play the game. With that being said, a lot of past Zelda games failed in the task of making these interesting outside of the dungeon we acquired them in. But then again, those games were not open world sandboxes. Imagine what we could do with the hookshot, claw shot, or even grappling hook, or the spinner that actually is useful in fighting enemies and getting to secret areas, vertically and horizontally. In other words, linear surface rewards that unlock non-linear surface reward, instead of another high-level weapon that will break soon after. Non-breakable traversal items, that is what we need. A reward for completing dungeons, and temples that offer us new forms of gameplay in areas we have seen or are about to enter. At the same time, also unlocking minigames tied to these items is the way to go for Tears of the Kingdom, apart from continuing the non-linear exploration outside of dungeons and temples. And that is what is key to Tears of the Kingdom's gameplay, expanding and altering already existing features in existing areas while offering new and exciting ways to get around. This combination of past and present, old and new, is something that we know the Zelda team is focusing on delivering with this game. It is just that we're still waiting for the big confirmations. Well, that and actual gameplay with HUD and everything. What we're doing for this series is brainstorming new ideas while reminding us that the greatest of the past also has a place in Zelda's future. So Carlos has something to say to you now in this 5th anniversary of Breath of the Wild and his legendary speech in October 2017.
Let me tell you something that each and every one of you has the opportunity to become like those amazing people that we know here from
the last comment section. And now it is your turn to bring what you think could improve the gameplay of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom by sharing it in the comments. And remember, gameplay ideas for Sky, Underground and Surface. If you haven't already, then be sure to leave a like, subscribe to this channel, and press the notification bell to not miss any upcoming new Inside Tears of the Kingdom episodes. Last but not least, a big thank you for watching and suggesting, Saitcho and Naomi for capturing special footage, to all our amazing patreon.com/Cameron patrons for financing, with a very special shout out to our newest patron Mickey Lou Price and our raw producer Charles Shash. You rock, and please enjoy one or both of these two awesome videos.